Self-doubt can hold people back from reaching their full potential, whether in their careers, relationships, or personal growth. Confidence is a skill that can be developed, but what are the most effective strategies to overcome negative self-talk and build lasting self-assurance? In this interview series, we're talking to mindset coaches, psychologists, authors, and other experts who can share actionable insights on overcoming self-doubt and cultivating confidence. As a part of this series, we had the pleasure of interviewing Kelley Green Johnson. Kelley is a certified mindset coach, corporate wellness consultant, and meditation instructor who helps visionary professionals and entrepreneurs build confidence, resilience, and emotional well-being. As the founder of Rise by Design, she partners with individuals and organizations to combat stress, burnout, and self-doubt through mindset training and mindfulness strategies. A former corporate HR professional, her own experience with burnout and hospitalization fueled her mission to teach others how to prioritize emotional wellness without sacrificing success. Featured in Essence, Self, Health Mag, and more, Kelley's coaching programs and content empower people to rewrite limiting narratives, cultivate self-worth, and design a life they're proud of. Kelley, thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me, Stanley.
You're quite welcome. Before we started this interview, you and I were chatting a little bit, and you were telling me some interesting stuff about your background. Can you back up a little bit and share it with everybody? How does a corporate HR person, first of all, how'd you get into corporate? And how does a corporate HR person become a mindset coach?
Thank you. So happy to be here and to chat with you. The story is interesting. I grew up in South Jamaica, Queens, New York, and I always had a dancing background. I loved having fun and being on stage and like just entertaining people. And I realized though, as I started thinking about college and the future, that that might not be the path I wanted to go on because everyone's talking about, you got to have the safe job. You got to get a job, something that you can rely on. You get a salary, this and that. So I said, okay, you know what? I'm gonna have to put dance on the background. Maybe that'll be a hobby, moving forward, but to corporate I go. And like I was telling you, Stanley, I've always loved helping people. That's just always been something like a passion of mine. So I ended up in human resources, helping the people. What I didn't realize going into that field is a lot of people came to me with their problems. So in order to help them, it was a lot loaded on me with people with leaves and hiring and even firing and just so much going on. And I became a people pleaser in that role. I wanted to succeed. I wanted to climb that corporate ladder because that's what they say you do, after school. And coming from a background where unfortunately I was bullied in middle school, I just always wanted to please people and be accepted and be wanted, like around. And so I just would say yes all the time at work. Yes, I can do it. I can handle it. I got you. Just give it to me. I'll do it. And I always did a great job. And I think that's why they kept putting work on me over and over and over again.
Abraham Lincoln said the reward for a job well done is more work.
There's more work, exactly. So I was like, whew, okay. But I said I could do it, I could take it. And then one particular day, it was a Friday where I normally do new hire orientation. And I'm responsible for getting all the new hires in, making sure they have their meals, making sure I go over all their paperwork and signage and roles and salaries and everything, really, so they can step into their role with confidence. And on this particular day, I go over to the copy machine. That was the last thing I had to do was just print out the paperwork. And I go to print it out, and the copy machine wasn't working. I said, okay, it's Friday, end of the week. This normally happens. So I said, let me just give it a couple taps, a couple kicks. And it just wasn't working. So I said, oh Lord, okay, let me just find another printer. So I'm running around, like I was telling Stan, I was like, I'm running around like a chicken with my head cut off, trying to find a solution. And meanwhile, people are still asking me to do things. I'm still saying yes. They're now wondering when our orientation is going to start. I'm trying to figure this out. I don't have an answer. And the overwhelm caused me to collapse. And I passed out apparently at my desk. I was apparently crying under my desk. I don't even remember this. And next thing I know, I was being wheeled out on a stretcher and sent to the hospital. So from that moment, I said, okay, this is no way to live. This is no way to work. I have to change. Something has to give. And so I found my way into yoga and meditation. A friend had recommended that to me years ago, and I kind of stereotyped it back then. This was like the 2010s. And I was like, yeah, I'm not doing yoga. I'm not doing meditation. You just sit there like it doesn't do anything for you. It doesn't help. Boy, was I wrong. I took a class. Stanley, I kid you not. We were in the last pose. We were in Shavasana, laying down on the floor, and I started crying. The tears from being able to rest and be still and connect to myself, connect to the ground. I was like, oh, this is like mind blowing. So naturally, I got certified in it because I said I have to share this with everyone. And
You're an achiever.
yeah. And although I don't teach yoga anymore, I still teach meditation, breath work, somatic exercises, embodiment, things like that, because I recognize the power of the mind-body connection and what it can do for myself and others. So that's how I ended up here. And then I got certified, a high achiever here again, in like life and success coaching, hypnotherapy, EFT, NLP, and just here to help people with their mindset so they can achieve their goals and have success.
So that's quite a massive change.
Yes.
Based upon the smile on your face, can I assume that you're a little happier now than you were before?
Happy is an understatement. Yes, much. My life has completely changed. I was telling you, Stanley, I'm married now. I have a new baby girl, my first child, my daughter, who I had 10 months ago, and we just moved into our new home in February. It's March now, whoever's watching this or listening, and yeah, oh no, it's April. Today's April 2nd.
Yeah, it's April 2nd.
It's April 2nd, new month. And so yeah, definitely happy.
That,
Grateful.
that's wonderful.
Thank
Uh, it's kind of interesting. A lot of people who get into this type of work, it seems to be an outgrowth of their personal lives.
you.
You know, you didn't wake up saying this is what I want to do.
Mm-mm.
You sort of got into it and fell in love with it as you got into it.
Exactly.
So let me ask you, my focus, while I definitely like to help people in all phases of their lives, my
Yeah.
focus is on creating a healthy lifestyle, a
hmm
sustainable lifestyle. And to me, that has three components to it. First one's healthy mindset, which I suspect you have. And yes, Carol Dweck would be very proud of you.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you.
Um, for those who don't know, Carol Dweck wrote a book called Mindset.
hmm
Talks about having a growth mindset or a fixed mindset. And I think Kelly has a growth mindset.
Thank you. I definitely
And and then there's healthy eating,
do.
which I believe is also very important. And that grew out of my personal journey in losing weight. You know, to permanently lose weight, I needed to learn how to eat healthy. And then healthy exercise.
hmm
And to me, exercise needs to be something that's sustainable, not something that, we all tend to want to go like this and we want to push, 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 push.
Yes. A lot of
And
pushing, forcing.
and I'm a believer in slow, take it easy, slow and steady, slow and steady, slow and steady. How do you feel about in your life? Are you more of an up and down kind of person, or slow and steady person? Or how do you roll?
Oh, that's a great question. I am, hmm, I guess it depends. Um, I actually don't necessarily think of the pace of things.
Hmm.
Again, it's the mindset. It's like, okay, what's my mindset for this goal? Because no matter what the goal is, I have to ensure I have the identity to match that goal. Because
Yes.
for example, your case, or I'll just use myself. When I got when I was pregnant, by the time it came around time for me to deliver, I had gained about 80 pounds. Um,
Okay.
so yeah, and I knew once I delivered, I wanted to lose that weight. So
Uh-huh.
I said, okay, what can I do, to ensure that happens without forcing and the pushing, like you're saying, and straining myself. Of course, you are limited to what you can do when you deliver. Once you have a baby, your body just doesn't,
Yeah,
snap back.
yeah,
You can
yeah.
lift everything and move and run. Yeah. This is for anyone who's not familiar with that. You just don't immediately go and start lifting, 30-pound
No,
weights and
nope.
run 3 miles. Right. So I said, okay, let me make sure I have the mindset of a person who can lose weight easily, where it can literally fall off, essentially, where I can just do minimal work, which would be taking care of my child, walking here and there, but nothing extreme, nothing strenuous. And without even going to the gym for I think the first time I went to the gym was maybe 6 or 7 months after I had my daughter, and
Mhm.
I had already lost about 50 pounds. Like it just fell off. Like it just fell off. I told people this years ago, and I used to work in HR, one of the corporate jobs I had, and they're like, "How do you stay so fit? How do you stay so thin?" Blah blah. I said, essentially it's my mindset. Like I eat well, like you said. I don't just eat junk. I do certain walks. I used to call them my sun walks at work, where I would go outside and just walk in the sun and to help my mental, especially in HR, where everybody comes to you with your problem, with their problems again. And that would pour into me, that vitamin D, and I would just keep the weight off. I just identified myself as someone who didn't struggle with weight. I'm someone who, keeping my figure is easy, it's simple. And I'm not going to say genes don't play a factor because they do. However, I just know the identity of my body and how I take care of it makes a difference.
When we expand upon what you said, there's a key word that you use several times when you just said identity.
Identity, yeah.
That is so, to me, that is so important.
Mhm.
Um, like I've taken on the identity of a person who eats healthy.
Yeah.
And people go, how do they put some less than healthy food, so to speak, in front of me, and they go, how do you resist that? And I just go, I'm not a person who eats that.
Yes. hmm
But that is a mind shift,
It is. It is. And
right?
it sounds so simple, right? And it seems so obvious, but not everybody identifies having the identity of the person that they want to be. They still hold on to the past old subconscious reprogramming. Maybe they were bullied in school to be fat. I was bullied and was told I was ugly, and like the guys didn't want me, they didn't like me. And so I grew up searching for that like self-respect and wanting to be liked and wanting to be pretty until I realized, wait, I control this in my mind. Like I can identify myself as someone who's pretty, as someone who is nice looking, as someone who can attract a healthy love in relationship. I had to switch my mindset to that identity we're talking about to match what the goal was. If you're somebody who wants to journal and you just go, every morning you're like, "Ah, I don't feel like it. I don't want to do that." Versus, I am someone who journals. Just affirming it. I am someone who journals. For you, it's I am someone who eats healthy. It's just that simple. But unless you do it, you're going to keep falling back into those old patterns, those old habits, that old programming that doesn't serve you.
I do that with walking as well. I get up early in the morning and I don't ask myself, am I going to go for a walk? I am a person who walks. I
hmm
get up every morning and walk. I've done it for 7 years in a row,
Love
every
it.
day. And I've actually done it for 12 years in a row, minus 3 days when I was sick. But,
Mm,
and so I am.
yeah.
Plus, my dog wouldn't let me get away without going for a walk. But but it's who I am, and
Yeah.
that is what I find very interesting and so important. So if you were counseling people
hmm
who wanted to lose weight in a healthy manner,
hmm
is folk, how do you identify yourself? Pretty much the first question you would ask them.
So yeah, that's typically just the starting point of where they are, where they see themselves, and essentially getting to those beliefs that aren't serving them. Because that's where we're operating from. We're operating from our subconscious mind. It controls 95% of everything, our thoughts, our beliefs, our habits, our behaviors. So if we have a bunch of beliefs that aren't serving us running the show, we're not going to accomplish our goals and achieve the success that we want. So it's like, okay, where are you now? What beliefs do you have about yourself now? What are you struggling with? What thoughts do you have? And then it's important to find the root cause of that so we can reprogram that. We can reframe those negative thoughts and replace them with something more positive.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
People talk about the root cause all the time,
Hmm.
and I understand that and I agree with it to a certain extent. I want to know what you think about
Yeah,
this.
let's talk about it.
Sometimes I think the root cause is irrelevant. All that matters is what do you need to do to fix the problem, and are you going to do it? To
Then
solve,
I'll ask you, how do you fix the problem if you don't know the problem, like what caused the problem?
okay, and in my believe it or not, I think you can. In my case, um, I was getting ready to turn 50,
Mhm,
and I weighed 320 pounds at the time. And
mhm.
this is like over 16 years ago. And I woke up one morning and I told my wife, I'm done. I'm done playing this game. I'm gonna
Yeah.
start eating better now. I'm gonna start exercising now.
Hmm.
My exercise of choice is going to be walking. And on some level, I knew how I got to where I was, why I got to where I was. In my case, my mother died when I was 8, and I lived with my massively obese father, and we both just ate ourselves to oblivion.
Hmm.
But it, I sometimes think that's one of the problems I have with psychology in general. I think
Hmm.
sometimes it focuses too much on the past, and the past is important. The past is what we learn from, but I like to move forward also. I mean, I'm just, it's kind of, I'm just throwing that out there.
No, I
Curious.
like the conversation. Yeah, no, I like that you point that out. So I'll say this in regards to what you're saying. A couple things. So the work that I do with the subconscious is not like therapy, where in therapy, I think you are very focused on the past and the issue.
Okay.
I bring the root cause to just simply focus on that to eliminate it, if that makes sense. To reframe that story that it's telling you. And this is not for everybody.
Okay.
Everybody doesn't need
I
to do
get
this.
it.
That makes
Okay.
sense?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
get it. I get it.
Yeah. I don't like to
The
focus on the
reframe is the
past.
key word.
Yes, exactly. That's strictly why I go to that root cause.
Yeah.
We're not
Okay.
going to sit in it and how did you feel this? Like, no, there's a specific technique that I do just to help reframe that.
I have reframed my past into a learning experience. What I put myself through, and I will say put myself through because I've taken personal responsibility for
Yeah, yeah.
it. Nobody did it to me but myself. What I put myself through has made me into the person I am today.
Mm,
And I like the person I am today. And the person I am today has the experience, the knowledge and the experience to help other people
hmm. Of course.
and to hopefully avoid some of the mistakes I made or to go through them in an easier manner than I did. So it's sort of, it was necessary in many ways.
Hmm. I'm
So
glad you came to that realization.
yeah, so I guess you would call that a massive reframe.
Hmm. Big one,
Yeah.
big one. Because, especially, and that's majority of us adults today being influenced by the people around us when we were children. Whether they were caretakers, parents, teachers, a lot of that, a lot of who we are until we reframe it has been embedded from their beliefs, their habits, their thoughts, their environment, because that's all we knew. That's all we knew. And until we're 7 years of age, we're just a walking subconscious. So we absorb everything and accept it as fact. We don't question it. Someone tells you there's Santa Claus, you're not, well, if there's such a thing as Santa Claus, then XYZ, we don't really question that, the tooth fairy, things like that, until we begin to grow older and recognize that things could be questioned.
It's interesting that you say 7 years. I was listening to something this morning on one of my morning walks, and it was I'm paraphrasing here. Aristotle said something like, "Give me a child for 7 years, and I will tell you what the man will be or look like, or something like that."
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
true.
It's
Um,
true.
but but let me ask you this question:
Okay.
Is it possible to change?
Is it possible to change? Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So if we had messed up parents,
Hmm.
messed up childhood, all kinds of things happen to us.
Hmm.
We can overcome that.
I believe so. I believe so. I think it stems from the strength of and power of the mind that can help that. Because, or even think of this in a case where there could be a household with two parents. Maybe they were abusive to each other, neglectful to their two kids. Let's say they had two children. There's a chance that one kid can come out saying, I'm not going to be anything like my parents. Like, my dad was always drinking, my mom was always depressed. I'm not going to be anything like them. And they decide they are not like them and decide who they want to be. While the other kid in this two kid situation might develop the same patterns and habits that he saw in the home. So it's very possible to go either way, but the individual decides.
Yeah, they do.
My opinion. Yeah,
All about taking personal responsibility.
exactly.
Do you have any projects you're working on right now or anything that you want to share with us?
Thank you for asking. So, as of now, I am an author as well. So, I have some books that's available on Amazon. Shameless plug. I have them here in the background, actually. So, book
You
of,
can hold it up.
oh, thanks. So I have a book of poetry and prose. It's like a self-discovery collection that helps you just really learn that you're worthy of receiving love. And this is a transformative self-discovery and self-reflection journal. So it helps you just connect to yourself and change your mindset in the morning and the evening, because I feel like a lot of people forget that evening routine when they focus on the morning routine for the day. And the evening routine helps set you up, of course. So I have that. I have my membership on Substack under Rise by Design. It's really been impactful. We've launched that within a month and already have so many subscribers and people connecting. And we basically just talk about how we can reframe our mindset, as you were talking about today, to help them achieve success and their goals. And outside of that, I'm just working with different organizations and companies to help bring these mindset shifts and ability to prevent burnout and stress into the workplace to help leaders as well.
Sounds exciting.
Thank you. It is.
Well, this has been a pleasure. Thank you
Thank
very much for taking the time to talk with us.
thank you.
In closing, I will say you have a fantastic smile.
Thank you very much.
It's worth something. It definitely
Thank you.
is.
Thank
You
you.
must be a happy
So,
person.
yes, thank you. You know what's funny too, Stanley? And I don't take that compliment lightly. I thoroughly appreciate it, and it reminds me every time that this was something I had to work on because I mentioned my story of bullying before. The
Mhm.
mouth was exactly what they bullied me for. My smile and my mouth. Right, crazy. And then as I got older, I had to say, no, I have a great smile. I'm always complimenting them. I have a great smile. I love my smile. Like putting it on me too. I love my smile. So I had to literally develop that because I couldn't stand it for a really long time. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Guess what? You win.
Yay!
Thank you.
Doing. This has been great. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.